Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more current transfer rumours and gossip. So there is lots to negotiate on this video today. Going to give you the latest news about Harry Maguire. Also going to keep you up to date of what's going on with Bruno Fernandes. Going to give you the latest news about Milinkovic, Savic, and also going to give you a bit more additional information about Paulo Dybala. And so lots of things to talk about as we always do on this current channel. So we do know there's just now under 2 weeks now remaining in this current transfer window. So obviously, we have got to be more competitive in this window. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, is looking to get at least a couple of more players in before this window, does currently shut. Obviously, I do believe now our top priority is to recommend an experienced centre half in. Then obviously, looking to add a couple of new additions in that midfield, regardless of what happens with Paul Pogba. And obviously, we do know Manchester United are in search for a right winner. I'm very sceptical about Manchester United bringing a right winner in. I don't think that's currently not going to happen. But like I said, if Romelu Lukaku does leave the football club, obviously we are going to need a replacement for him. But like I said, for the entirety of the summer, there's been a lot of speculation, about players coming in and about players going out. But we've actually confirmed that we're not intending on overspending on our transfer targets, because quite a few people said we should be sensible over our recruitment this summer. But I do believe we need to sell players anyway, to help us generate funds and obviously rebuild the squad even more. But looking at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding, because the majority of this squad at this present time is not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. Obviously so far this summer we have spent £68 million on Daniel James and on Wan-Bissaka, and we've seen glimpses of what good signings they've proven to be so far, because both of them have started pre-season fantastically well. Daniel James I still say is a prospect and needs time to develop, and you think without Wan-Bissaka he can be our fullback for the next decade. But there is still quite a lot to address in the squad. I do believe this season I think we'll have a better season than we did last season, without a shadow of a doubt, because last season was a huge disappointment. We finished 6th, we failed to qualify for the Champions League. But I do believe in the Premier League this season. I do believe we'll have a better season. I do believe we'll qualify for the Champions League. I'm still sceptical about Manchester United winning the league. I don't think we'll win the league for the next few years in my opinion, but I think this season we'll probably finish in the top 4, maybe in the top 3. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer anyway was talking about our ambitions for this season. He believes, of course, that we'll have a better season. But as you've seen throughout pre-season, you can see the vast improvements already in the squad. We look more better in the attacking third of the pitch, and we've got more pace now up front, and that's something we lacked last season, because we lacked that pace last season. This is why obviously we wasn't scoring enough goals, wasn't ruthless in front of goal. Might have created chances last season, but obviously wasn't scoring enough goals. But we have got that pace now up front. You've got Daniel James with electrifying pace, you've got Martial with good pace, you've got Rashford and that with good pace, and we've got the likes of Mason Greenwood. He's been assured more playing time this season. He started pre-season fantastically well, so he's going to get promoted into the first team as Mason Greenwood. You've got Chon, he's the upcoming future as well. So we've got quite a few upcoming players in our squad. But like I said, we do look better. As I've seen in this pre-season so far. Won 4 games out of 4. 9 goals scored, and only 1 goal conceded. We do play this evening against Christian Sun, so we're looking to make it 5 wins out of 5 in pre-season. But yeah, we've currently had a fantastic start, and it's good that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's giving everybody the chance, more or less. There's only a couple of players, that haven't. Well, there's about 3 or 4 that haven't, played on pre-season. So obviously Lukaku hasn't played because obviously, he's heavily linked to a move away from the football club, so he hasn't played on pre-season tour. Sanchez hasn't, because I think Sanchez has been injured. Obviously, Darmian hasn't. I think Manchester United have opened selling Darmian because he's surfaced 2 requirements at the club. Lee Grant hasn't, because obviously, Lee Grant's currently been injured. I think Dimitri Mitchell's he's also being injured. I think it says Fossa Mensu has been injured. So there's quite a few players that haven't played on pre-season tour. But I've been impressed with the young players have really stepped up. I've been really impressed with them throughout pre-season. But this is why I like pre-season, because it gives upcoming players a chance to get more experience and that under their belt. But we do look a better team. But I'd still say at the moment, City is strides ahead of us, Liverpool is strides ahead of us. But to be fair, Liverpool have done really poor in pre-season, but they did have a good season last last season. But like I said, we've definitely got to get a central defender in, because we have still got issues defensively, and we've had issues defensively, for several years. And obviously, we're looking for someone that can go alongside Victor Lindelof in our back line. So we'll keep you up to date with what's going on with Harry Maguire. So as I did update you yesterday, and this was actually stemming from Damasio, he reportedly said our deal for Harry Maguire is in the closing stages. So obviously he's moved to Manchester United now. He's looking very, very imminent, according to recent reports. Now, obviously, if he's going to be our third signing this summer, obviously, we're set to get him for around £80 million, which is obviously a world record fee for the defender. It will take our spending up to around £148 million. And obviously, the fee we do get Harry Maguire for, obviously, it's going to exceed the fee of what Liverpool paid for Virgil van Dijk, back in January 2018, because Liverpool paid £75 million for Virgil van Dijk. And, we're going to pay around £80 million for Harry Maguire. I've been reading recent reports, and it did say that Harry Maguire has lost his patience with Leicester, obviously with their reluctance to sell him to Manchester United, because obviously Harry Maguire has blatantly made it clear that he does want to leave Leicester, because he's informed his Leicester teammates. He's also informed Brendan Rodgers that he wants to leave, to obviously rejuvenate his career and take his footballing career to the next level. Obviously he does want to come to Manchester United. Obviously Harry Maguire does want to relish this opportunity, but it fueled more speculation yesterday when obviously it confirmed that Harry Maguire was absent from training. He skipped Leicester training. According to some reports, I said he allegedly said he wasn't training because he had some kind of sickness bug, and I think that was actually stemming from his teammate James Maddison, reportedly. But yeah, so it's looking likely he's going to be coming in now, Harry Maguire. Obviously reports recently saying Leicester wanted a higher transfer fee up front, because they're very sceptical that we'll qualify for the Champions League next season. But I think anywhere we'll qualify for the Champions League next season. We have failed to qualify for the Champions League 3 times out of the 6 seasons, since Alex Ferguson's retirement. But I do believe we'll qualify for the Champions League next season. So it did say initially that, so far we've offered around £72 million with additional bonus payments, due based on trophies and us finishing in the top 4 and all that. But I think Leicester do want a higher transfer fee up front. But they blatantly made it clear, they do want in the excess of £80 million. Obviously Ed Woodward is working on getting the deal over the line, because obviously it didn't actually say that Ed Woodward had remained in the UK, to obviously see to oversee our transfer business, but he does want to get the deal over the line for Harry Maguire. And we have been in talks, with Leicester for quite some time. Ed Woodward, of course, is still remaining in talks now with Leicester over getting a deal and that over the line. But he does want to come to Manchester United. Harry Maguire, will dramatically improve us. He's well Premier League proven, which is very beneficial for Manchester United. Obviously, we've got to make him the most expensive defender in the world. I think recent reports did indicate outside that we're ready to sign Harry Maguire. I'm ready to pay what Leicester are demanding. Once we can sell Romelu Lukaku, to Inter Milan, then we are going to, go in there for Harry Maguire. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer anyway, instructed Ed Woodward to get the deal over the line. And I think this was following the serious knee injury that Eric Bailly had sustained. Obviously, he sustained a serious knee injury against Tottenham, and obviously he's a big doubt for this season. Is Eric Bailly, and with Eric Bailly, I know how much of an imperative player he is. He's I've seen glimpses of his best form, Eric Bailly, but I think his Manchester United career has been mainly affected, the amount of injuries sustained. Not only with the amount of injuries sustained, his fallout on the managers, I think it has really had a bad effect on Eric Bailly's career. But I still know how much an imperative player he is. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has identified Harry Maguire as his #1 defensive type, because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants, Harry Maguire to link up with Victor Lindelof in our back line, and I think Victor Lindelof himself is happy about the prospect of Harry Maguire, playing alongside him. But we do know dramatically improve us defensively. Last season we conceded 54 goals in 38 Premier League games, and that was our highest total in 40 years. And obviously, we're in search for a world-class central defender. And I don't think, we've had a good defence to rebuild on, since we had the likes of Vidic, Ferdinand, Gary Neville and Cheese Sever, because they were good defenders, back under the Alex Ferguson era. But I think he complement Victor Lindelof in our back line really, really well. Obviously, but he has become really infuriated as Harry Maguire, you know, with Leicester's reluctance, you know, to offload him. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers recently came out and insisted that there is no cut-off date, you know, in which, you know, Leicester would no longer, you know, consider, you know, selling Harry Maguire. But Brendan Rodgers, you know, is aware of the speculation. He's obviously had his overarching view on it, and obviously he's aware of Man United's interest. Obviously, Manchester City at one point, of course, would influence. But he initially said, you know, we'd have to heavy up about the business if we want to get Harry Maguire. But there is no deadline imposed on him now, as reports came out the other week saying that reportedly there was a deadline imposed on any potential bids for Harry Maguire. So that's very, very good news. Yeah, you know, Manchester City, you know, were in for him at one point. It was looking like, you know, Manchester City were going to get Harry Maguire at one point. I think a couple of weeks ago now, you know, City were orchestrating on paying him around 280 grand a week. Obviously, City were going to get him for the world record fee of £80 million. His initial preference was Manchester City ahead of Manchester United. But obviously, you know, City had withdrawn their interest because obviously City are not willing to pay what Leicester are demanding. Obviously, you know, Leicester want £80 million. I think Man United are happy to pay this, but Manchester City are reluctant to pay that. I think City at the tops were only willing to pay around £65 million. Obviously, City are seeing him as a replacement was seeing him as a replacement for Vincent Kompany, because I do believe now Manchester City are no longer in there, even though they have held talks with Leicester. But don't forget, you know, we've already had a £70 million bid turned down for him. I think Brendan Rodgers did confirm that 2 bids have been turned down for Harry Maguire, but we had a £70 million bid turned down because obviously that figure is too insufficient for Leicester. But no fee has yet, you know, come to an agreement. Obviously, on 2 occasions, it allegedly said, you know, that we'd agreed a world record fee of £80 million with Leicester for Harry Maguire. It came out, you know, last Sunday, not Sunday just gone, the Sunday before, saying that reportedly, you know, an £80 million fee and that had been agreed. But obviously, them stories, you know, got proven to be cynical. And obviously, you know, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, you know, Duncan Castles came out and, you know, he allegedly said, you know, we'd agreed around an £80 million deal, you know, with Leicester, you know, for Harry Maguire. Again, them stories got proven to be cynical, so none of them were currently true. But yeah, he definitely, you know, wants to make the move to Manchester United. But they did tell Harry Maguire he can leave Leicester as long as, you know, we're willing to pay Leicester City's valuation. But I do believe for you know, for the majority of the, you know, the summer and all that, and, you know, Leicester City's valuation has seemed to be the stumbling block, because, you know, at one point, you know, we was only willing to pay around £70 million for him. But basically, you know, you can say Leicester have basically, you know, been playing hardball, because Leicester are under no financial pressure to sell Harry Maguire, because deep down Leicester do know how much of an imperative player he is. But obviously, a player of Harry Maguire's calibre and level is not going to want to spend a lot of years with Leicester, or he's not going to want to spend the entirety of his career with Leicester. Obviously, he's going to want to move on, and he's going to want to rejuvenate his career. He's going to want to go to a much bigger club, and I think he'll fit the Manchester United agenda, you know, really, really well. Obviously, don't forget, you know, Mike Phelan has managed Harry Maguire, you know, during his short tenure with Hull. So I think Mike Phelan's instructed Manchester United to get a deal over the line. I think he did say a while back that, you know, Alex Ferguson, you know, was keen on him coming to the football club. But DiMarzio reported on this yesterday, saying that, you know, our deal for Harry Maguire is in the closing stages. So basically, you know, we are on the brink of getting, and I think it could be our third sign this summer. Then we're going to focus on, you know, bringing a couple of new additions in that midfield. But yeah, we have been in talks with Leicester, you know, for quite some time, but we've only got a week and a half now, or is it just under that, remaining this window. So I'm very hopeful that we can get at least 2 more players on the board before this window does currently shut, because Solskjaer, you know, was recently, you know, talking about our recruitment policy and analysing the last couple of windows. You know, we haven't been good enough. You know, we didn't get anyone in January. You know, we didn't get as a number 1 targets last summer. So it's potentially, you know, it's not been good enough in the last couple of windows. And I think, you know, Arsenal are doing pretty well now in this window, even though they're restricted to loan signings back in January. I thought initially they'd been given a tight budget. I thought they'd been given around 40 or 45 million pounds to spend. Arsenal are on the brink of signing Nicolas Pepe from Lille. I do believe they didn't sign William Saliba, if I'm right. So they have got quite a few players on the board of Arsenal. So they're being quite competitive in this window, but we've got to be more competitive. That's very, very essential indeed, because if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, doesn't get all the players he wants, you can basically say that the board have let him down, and then, you know, the fans will start, you know, criticising, you know, the board. They'll also start criticising Eddie Woodward, because initially the board assured that there was going to be backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this summer. Because analysing our current squad at the moment as it stands at this present time, you know, it isn't good enough. It isn't competitive enough, in my opinion. I said even if we now had a manager to the highest level with a proven pedigree, they still would struggle, this current Manchester United squad. So there is still improvements needed. Initially, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's preference was a March, late March, was actually to get our transfer business done by pre-season, but obviously, of course, that didn't materialise. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, has given his analysis on this window, and he hasn't become infuriated by it. He's just basically said, we've got 2 good players on the board, and basically said, we need to be patient this transfer window. So that was good, by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But he's spoken to the vast majority of our players this summer anyway. But he's aware that players are linked to a move away from the football club. He initially said we don't need to sell players, but I believe we need to sell players, to help us generate more funds and of course rebuild the squad. But with Harry Maguire, yes, I think he's going to be coming to Manchester United. So I do believe that it is currently going to happen. But he's been at Leicester 2 years. He's made 76 appearances in all competitions. 69 of those appearances have come in the Premier League. Obviously, he only signed a new long-term contract with Leicester last summer. Don't forget. So he's in the contract with them until 2023, and Leicester paid around £17 million for his services from Hull City. So Leicester get £80 million from him. They're going to make a huge profit on the player, and with the money they do generate from Harry Maguire's departure, maybe Leicester could get maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe even 3 players with that money. But Leicester still know how much an imperative player he is. I think we was also tracking him when he was a youngster at Sheffield United, so we was also in for Harry Maguire then. We was also in for him last summer, because our priority last summer was to actually recommend a central defender to come in, but the board weren't backing the signings that Jose Mourinho wanted to recommend into the football club last summer. So yeah, anyway, it's looking like Harry Maguire, is currently going to be coming in, which is very, very good news. Like I said, 26 years of age, so he's still in his prime. He's still got a lot of years ahead of him. Plus, he's British, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, wants to recruit British talents to Manchester United this summer. I do believe if Harry Maguire does come in, I do believe we are willing to offload one of our central defenders, because analysing it, we've got quite a lot of centre backs. We've got Lindelof, we've got Bay, we've got Rojo, you've got Smalling, you've got Jones, you've got Alex Tuanzebe. So we've got around 5 or 6 centre backs, but Harry Maguire is a better option than what we've currently got now. I do believe. I do believe with Victor Lindelof, I think he's flourishing in this Manchester United team. I think there was vast improvements in his second season with Manchester United. I thought Victor Lindelof struggled in his first season, didn't really settle in, lacked that consistency, but I thought there was vast improvements in his second season, Victor Lindelof. So, I think he's going to do really, really well at Manchester United. But him, Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire in our backline, would just be absolutely fantastic indeed. So, like I said, and I think Harry Maguire is also demanded that he does want to become captain of Manchester United. And Manchester United may consider giving him the captaincy, because I think he'll be a great leader in our back line. But his stability is good. He shows that ability to power from the back, does Harry Maguire. His passing is really, really good. I don't think he's very fast, Harry Maguire, but I don't think that's an issue. But obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has identified him as his number 1 defensive target. But we'll currently see what happens. But he did skip Leicester training yesterday, so obviously that fueled more speculation. But yeah, and obviously Manchester United can offer him a lot more money than what he's currently on at Leicester at the moment. So it's looking likely he's currently going to be coming in. But yeah, I think we are willing now to pay that £80 million. Obviously, this is going to make him the most expensive defender in the world, and obviously the fee is going to exceed the fee what Liverpool paid for Virgil van Dijk. Liverpool paid £75 million for Virgil van Dijk, but you can't put Harry Maguire in Virgil van Dijk's calibre or level, because obviously Virgil van Dijk is regarded as the best central defender in the world. Without a shadow of a doubt. But Harry Maguire, will dramatically improve us. So when it's been officially announced now, we'll be very ecstatic about the news. So let's give you the latest. Let's give you the latest news now about Bruno Fernandes. Now, we do know Bruno Fernandes has been relentlessly, linked to move to Manchester United. Obviously, we have been in talks with Sporting Lisbon for quite some time. Now, I've just been reading recent reports about Bruno Fernandes, and it does reportedly say that Bruno, according to a baller, Bruno Fernandes has informed his teammates that his transfer away from Sporting Lisbon is, growing momentumly. This is what, he's basically said. So it's looking very imminent. He's going to be leaving Sporting Lisbon. Obviously, recent reports have said, that, well, it actually said, during Sporting Lisbon's 2-1 defeat to Valencia in pre-season, as you all know, Bruno Fernandes, came off crying. So obviously, that just gives an indication, basically, that's his farewell appearance for Sporting Lisbon. And it also says that he's going to be leaving Sporting Lisbon, and it's looking like he's on his way to Manchester United. Is Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, it says we've reached a transfer agreement with Sporting Lisbon, as it confirmed a couple of days ago. It said a fee of around 62 or 63 £3 million has been agreed, between Manchester United and Sporting Lisbon for Bruno Fernandes. And reports indicated out over the weekend saying that he was set to fly to the UK for his medical with Manchester United ahead of his proposed move to Old Trafford. So it is looking likely, Bruno Fernandes is currently going to be coming in. Obviously, it hasn't been made official as yet, because I don't even think he's done his medical and that yet, Bruno Fernandes. But he said, his transfer away from Sporting Lisbon is increasingly, looking very, very likely. And I think Sporting Lisbon, have come to accept the fact anyway, that Bruno Fernandes wants to leave, he wants to rejuvenate his career, he wants to take his football and career to the next level. But, quite recently, the Sporting Lisbon boss, has been talking about, the Sporting Lisbon boss has been talking about the speculation about Bruno Fernandes, and he said, his future still remains uncertain. He indicated out that, Bruno Fernandes could leave. He has said, that the club's obviously, being keen on signing him and all that. And he did say it's going to be hard, for Sporting Lisbon to find an adequate replacement. But I think, Sporting Lisbon knows he wants to leave the club. Obviously, the Sporting Lisbon president, Federico Fernandes, he came out last week and he told Manchester United, the fee we'd have to pay, to have any chance of signing Bruno Fernandes. Because obviously, at one point we was only willing to pay around £50 million for his services. And, that's obviously too insufficient, because the Sporting Lisbon president said they want upwards of £56 million. Initially, the value Bruno Fernandes at around £70 million, but Manchester United, of course, are reluctant to pay that. So reportedly a fee, and that's been agreed, of around 62 or 63 million pounds, but may not be our third summer signing. It could be Harry Maguire, that's our third summer signing. Then Bruno Fernandes is going to be our fourth signing this summer, according to recent reports anywhere. So with Harry Maguire, it's going to take our spending spree, spending up to £148 million if he's our third signing. And if Bruno Fernandes is our fourth signing, and we've got him for around 62 or 63 million, that's going to take up to around £211 million this summer, obviously, on 4 players. But yeah, so it's looking like, Bruno Fernandes, he's currently, going to be coming in. Obviously, regardless of what happens with Paul Pogba, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, is still orchestrating on bringing 2 new additions in our midfield. Maybe Milinkovic Savic's move to Manchester United is dependent on, what happens with Paul Pogba. But, the situation with Paul Pogba, is not having any effect on Bruno Fernandes coming to Man United. And it's not, obviously, Bruno Fernandes' move to Manchester United is not dependent on, what happens with Paul Pogba. But I think he did actually say a while back, if Bruno Fernandes comes to Manchester United, we're set to, give him around 100 grand a week. That's his contract, which equates to around 5.5 million a year. But we have been in talks with Sporting. There's been quite some time. I was reading a lot of reports last week, and Sky Sports said it was unlikely he was going to join Manchester United, because we believe that the majority of the speculation about Bruno Fernandes was actually stemming from Portugal, his homeland, rather than Manchester. But yeah, I think I'm very convinced we're going to get this deal over the line. Bruno Fernandes, he's got a fantastic goal scoring pedigree, because he's done well in his 2 years with Sporting Lisbon. He scored 31 goals last season. He didn't literally say the other week though that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wasn't going to get backed for this particular signing, because he did say that the board had concerns about bringing Bruno Fernandes in and us spending quite a bit of money on him, because he said he had concerns that he obviously he's got little experience of playing to the highest level. He knows little about Champions League football. But yeah, he's been one of our priority targets for the entirety of the summer. But he's initially valued at £70 million, but I think we've agreed a fee of around 62 or 63 million. I think it did say as well that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has revealed that he wants to play Bruno Fernandes as a number 10, because maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer believes that Bruno Fernandes will look more effective in a number 10 role. Obviously number 10 he's just behind the centre forward, but I would be just sceptical of just one midfielder coming in. I'd love another midfielder to come in alongside Bruno Fernandes, and I think Milinkovic Savic would be fantastic. Maybe if well, maybe I've got a different opinion. Maybe if Paul Pogba was to stay and was just to get Bruno Fernandes, if it was just to get Bruno Fernandes in, maybe I wouldn't be so sceptical. But if Paul Pogba was to leave and was just to get Bruno, if it was just to get Bruno Fernandes in, then I would be a bit sceptical about that. But two midfielders coming in, I would be more confident, because we'd look a lot more balanced in that midfield. That creativeness would be coming in that midfield. But Bruno Fernandes coming to Manchester United, he's going to bring that creativeness in that midfield. He's going to rejuvenate the team. I do believe he's going to bring us them goals that we need in that midfield, because I do believe he can deliver the same element of the performances that he has been doing in his 2 years with Sporting Lisbon, and he can do this. He can replicate all this at Manchester United without a shadow of a doubt. Bruno Fernandes' initial release clause is around £88 million, but obviously Manchester United are not determined to go anywhere near that figure. Obviously he only signed a 5-year contract last summer, so he's under contract with Sporting Lisbon until 2023. But he did spend the majority of his career in Italy, when he was younger, and I think he had good spells with Sampdoria. He also had good spells over Underneath. I think he also had good spells over Novria. But Bruno Fernandes' agent has been in the UK quite a few times. He's been in the UK quite a few times. Is Bruno Fernandes' agent. Obviously, he's looking for the best possible deal for his client. But yeah, it's looking very his move away from Sporting Lisbon now is looking very probable, and I think he's going to be coming to Manchester United, because I do believe Manchester United are the only team in the running now anywhere. Obviously, we do know at one point Tottenham were in for him, Liverpool and that were in for him. Obviously, Tottenham have held quite a few negotiations with his agent. Tottenham are looking to do more transfer activity. They've signed, as far as I know at the moment, they've signed 2 players. They smashed our transfer record for Sangue and Dybala. Obviously they got Jack Clark from Leeds. He's been loaned back to Leeds for next season. I do believe Tottenham have been there for Ryan Sessegnon. Obviously, I still believe they're in there for Giovanni Lo Celso. Obviously, recent reports now, like I said, they're in there for Paulo Dybala. Obviously, for Tottenham to get Paul Dybala, they'll have to smash their transfer record again. But Tottenham looking to do more transfer activity, because, analysing Tottenham's squad, it is good. It's the best Tottenham squad I've seen in this generation, for a lot of years. And Tottenham have been competitive now for quite some time. But obviously, Tottenham, need to start winning silverware, and that's their objective, and that will be Pochettino's expectations this season, is to win some silverware and that with Tottenham, because they got to the first Champions League final last season. Overall, they had a pretty decent season last season. Did Tottenham. Obviously, they win the Champions League this season, but like I said, Tottenham still want to get a couple of more players in, because Pochettino, to be fair, is a really, really good manager. He's well proven in that in the Premier League. He's good at developing young players, is Pochettino, but he still hasn't proven himself yet in terms of any winning silverware, so he hasn't got that proven pedigree of winning any silverware as yet. But I do believe he will succeed at Tottenham, definitely will Pochettino. But Tottenham were in it for Bruno Fernandes at one point. Like I said, Liverpool were in for him at one point. With Liverpool, I know they've had a really bad start to pre-season. They've done really bad in pre-season. But looking at ultimately, I don't think Liverpool need to sign anybody, because I think they've addressed the deficiencies well in the squad. Liverpool have invested well in the last couple of windows. They had a good season there last season, so really Liverpool don't need to sign anybody, but they've still got a couple of players on their agenda, but they're no longer in now for Bruno Fernandes anywhere. But Sporting Lisbon themselves haven't been reliable this summer. Mainly they've been playing hardball with Manchester United, and I said Bruno Fernandes, Sporting Lisbon's valuation has seemed to be the stumbling block, Bruno Fernandes coming out to Manchester United. But it was looking likely a couple of months ago that Fernandes was going to be going to City, because Sporting Lisbon themselves assured that Bruno Fernandes was going to be going to Manchester City. But obviously his move to Manchester City never materialised, because obviously Manchester City had withdrawn their interest. But he's only 24 years of age, is Bruno Fernandes. He's still got a hell of a lot of development in him, and I do believe he can emulate into maybe like a Scholes, maybe a Carrick and Bruno Fernandes, as he develops and all that. I do honestly believe that he can. But yeah, so it's looking like Bruno Fernandes is going to be coming in, which I'm very, very impressed about. So I do believe we're going to definitely do more transfer activity. I do believe our next 2 or 3 signings are going to be Harry Maguire from Leicester, Bruno Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon, maybe Milinkovic Savic from Lazio, and I think that's potentially good enough. I still want us to get a right winner in, but like I said, I'm very sceptical about Manchester United getting a right winner in. So yeah, Bruno Fernandes to Manchester United now is looking very, very likely indeed. And I do believe now is his agent in the UK. I think he's set to remain in the UK until a deal is done. I think it did, unless you say that from TalkSport. But yeah, so we'll give you now the news about Milinkovic, Savic, and after that we'll give you the news about Paul Dybala and Romelu Lukaku and that. So the news now about Milinkovic, Savic. Obviously, we do know he's been also relentlessly linked with a move to Manchester United. Maybe Milinkovic, Savic has moved to Manchester United, like I've just said. He's dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba. Now, potentially, I was reading a lot of reports about Milinkovic, Savic yesterday. I've also been reading some up this morning, and Lazio president has come out and confirmed that Lazio are open to selling Milinkovic, Savic, if a suitable offer and that comes in for him. So they are basically considering offers at Lazio. Also, the boss of Lazio, he said that, well, he knows how much of an imperative player that Milinkovic, Savic is, and he would be keen on Milinkovic, Savic staying. But he did say they may be forced to sell him if the right offers do come in for him. So he did say yesterday that Manchester United are willing to offer him a salary of around 5.4 million a year. It also allegedly said that we've agreed personal terms with Milinkovic, Savic, but no fee has yet come to an agreement. So the actual fee seems to be the stumbling block at this present time. I do believe Lazio want around 90 million euros, which I do believe equates to around 81 million in pounds sterling. He did initially say Man United are only willing to offer around 72 million pounds for him. So Milinkovic, Savic has obviously not informed his Lazio teammates allegedly that he wants to leave Lazio this summer to probably rejuvenate his career and take his footballing career to the next level. I do believe Milinkovic, Savic's agent arrived in the UK last week to obviously hold talks with Manchester United. Obviously he wants to thrash out a deal for his client to join Manchester United and all that. And I do believe he's set to hold more further talks with Manchester United. His Milinkovic, Savic's agent. He reportedly said that Manchester United had come to an agreement with his agent, but no fee has yet come to an agreement. Like I said, Lazio want around 81 million pounds. But like I said, a lot of reports were coming out last week saying that this was coming from La Repubblica, the Italian outlet, and then they allegedly said that a fee and a contract term had been agreed. It said he agreed a 5-year contract with Manchester United, where I think we're prepared to offer him a 5-year deal anywhere, which will take him under contract with the club till 2024. It allegedly said that around the £67 million fee had been agreed, with add-ons included, which did potentially rise it to around £71 million. Obviously, that got proven to be a load of nonsense, because it initially said we was around £18 million short of Lazio's valuation. Because it said at one point Lazio wanted around £90 million, as the Lazio president had confirmed, but maybe Manchester United are not willing to pay this. So it said we was willing to offer £72 million. Obviously, it said we've succeeded in talks with Lazio, but we've held, quite a few negotiations with Milinkovic, Savic's agent. Milinkovic, Savic is 24 years of age. He is Serbian. He is primarily a central midfielder, so mainly box to box. Can also be deployed as an attacking midfielder. So his versatility is pretty good, and I think he has proven in the majority of his 4 years with Lazio. That he can score goals. He can create chances and that. We have seen his best form for Lazio. It's also some of his performances being below par for Lazio, and I think that's happened in his last 5 or 6 months. He's been a bit inconsistent, but I think in his 4 years with Lazio, he scored 22 goals in 125 games, and obviously has scored 31 goals in 138 games, of course, in all competitions as Milinkovic, Savic. But I'd love him to come to Manchester United, because I do believe, just like I've got the same thoughts about Bruno Fernandes. I think he'd have all the attributes to come and succeed at Manchester United. I do believe he would exceed expectation levels, and I think him and Bruno Fernandes in our midfield, would complement each other, and I think they would produce a fantastic base, and it'd be even more beneficial if Paul Pogba was to stay at the football club. If Bruno Fernandes and Milinkovic, Savic came in, but I think Paul Pogba actually wants to leave Manchester United anyway. So I'd love Milinkovic, Savic to come in. Don't forget he's still under contract with Lazio till 2023. He did sign this new deal last October. But there's been a lot of midfielders on our agenda. Well, we was initially orchestrated on keeping Paul Pogba at the football club, and actually keeping Paul Pogba at the football club and bringing 2 new midfielders in, that can actually replace Herrera and Fellaini, because obviously we do know Herrera and Fellaini, have already left the club. 3 players have left Manchester United, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, as you all know. But with Paul Pogba, like I said, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's doing everything he can, to try and convince him to remain at the football club. Obviously, I was reading reports the other week, and it did say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had revealed he did say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had revealed that he's considering, Paul Pogba for the captaincy at Manchester United, in a bid, to convince him to remain at the football club. Obviously, we value Paul Pogba at around 170 or 180 million pounds. I think it's 180 million pounds. So basically, we are demanding, more than double than what we initially paid for him from Juventus back in 2016. Because obviously, we paid 89 million pounds for him. Obviously, Paul Pogba is our most expensive signing. But we do know he wants to leave the football club, as reports indicated out over a month ago now, saying Paul Pogba seek for a new challenge. He publicly admitted that he wants to leave Manchester United, and he was orchestrating on putting a transfer request in. But Solskjaer spoke a lot about Paul Pogba quite recently, and he's praised Paul Pogba, and Solskjaer deep down knows how much of an imperative player he is. Obviously, Real Madrid have been heavily linked with him. I do believe for quite some time his first choice preference has been Real Madrid, and his likely destination has been Real Madrid. Obviously, Real Madrid have spent £300 million, or is it over £300 million this summer on 5 players. Obviously, Real Madrid are not keen on a straight cash payment for Paul Pogba. They've already offloaded a couple of their players of Madrid, and I think they've generated around £100 million for their departures. I think they're looking to offload a couple of more their players, to help them generate funds, to meet our £180 million valuation. I think they were open to offloading James Rodriguez. I think, with Bailey, he's obviously going to China. I do believe that that Chinese club, of what I last saw, are not paying any transfer fee for Gareth Bale. So basically, Real Madrid have lost out on £85 million, because that's what they initially paid for him from Tottenham back in 2013, which was obviously a world record then, world record fee then. And obviously, he's set to earn around £1 million a week in China. Reportedly, so he's going to become the first player to earn £1 million a week. Obviously, Gareth Bale, fallen out of favour under Zinedine Zidane, because obviously, they don't have no relationship. And Zinedine Zidane, did confirm this at the end of last season that Gareth Bale has no future at Real Madrid. He did declare out, that he's no longer in his plans at Real Madrid, even though it initially said that, Gareth Bale's got no intention of leaving Real Madrid, and obviously, Gareth Bale's agent, had confirmed this, but he has fallen out of favour with Zinedine Zidane. But there was talks about him coming to Manchester United, because he's been linked to Man United for several years. There was talks about him making a return back to Tottenham, but like I said, at one point Real Madrid did want to include Gareth Bale in their bid to sign Paul Pogba, obviously, to convince us, to a lower valuation. But I always said that I didn't want Bale as part of the deal. I don't want him at Manchester United anywhere, because obviously he's had 2 inconsistent seasons with Real Madrid. If you'd asked me a couple of years ago, maybe I would have took Gareth Bale, but he's been inconsistent in his last couple of seasons with Real Madrid. He still initially had 3 years left in his contract with Real Madrid. He served 6 years with Real Madrid. To be fair to him, he won 13 trophies, and despite the fact that he's injury prone, Gareth Bale, still won, despite that he's injury prone, his stats were still very impressive. He scored 102 goals in 231 games in all competitions. Provided them around 65 assists. But he's aging up now, his Bale. I think he turned 30 years of age earlier on this month. But it's looking like he's going to be going to the Chinese Super League. So I don't think Real Madrid are going to receive a fee for him, but obviously, Bale is going to be on £1 million a week in the Chinese Super League, so he's going to get a huge pay rise in his salary, because obviously he's on around 600 grand a week at Real Madrid, and that's far too extortionate. But £1 million, of course, is even worse. But like I said, if Paul Pogba does leave the football club, I think he'll go to Real Madrid. But Real Madrid themselves now, anyway, has said they're confident, that they can obviously sign Paul Pogba. But like I said, Milinkovic Savic to Manchester United is probably depending, what happens with Paul Pogba. Now I want to give you the news in regards to Paul Dybala. Also want to keep up to date with what's going on with Romelu Lukaku. Now we'll start with Paul Dybala. So I've been reading reports about Dybala this morning, and it reportedly said that Paul Dybala is set to hold further more talks with Maurizio Sarri, and I do believe Dybala is going to be informed that Juventus are open to selling him this summer. I do believe Paul Dybala's initial preference is actually to remain at Juventus, but I do believe Juventus are open to selling him, because maybe Juventus do want to generate funds, so maybe they want to offload maybe 1 or 2 of their players in that, because obviously they've done good business this summer. I think they spent around, was it £75 million on the late. They got Adrian Rabiot on the board, they got Aaron Ramsey. They spent an extortionate amount on Cristiano Ronaldo last summer, so Juventus are probably open to selling them a couple of their players, but one of them, of course, they're open to selling is Paulo Dybala. So he's set to hold more further talks with Maurizio Sarri. he's already held negotiations with Maurizio Sarri. Reports were coming out last week saying that allegedly, Paul Dybala had changed his transfer stance and, that he was actually, considering leaving Juventus. But potentially, we do know Manchester United are in for him. Also, Tottenham are in there for Paul Dybala. Obviously, I do believe, Tottenham have held negotiations with Juventus over an audacious move. Like I said earlier on the video, Tottenham would have to break their transfer record if they do want to get a deal over the line for Dybala, because I do believe Juventus do value him at around £80 million. Obviously, we've been linked with Dybala for quite some time. His name's been coming out quite a lot of times as Paulo Dybala's. I think there has been obviously a lot of talks going on quite recently. Saying that Juventus are willing to offer Paul Dybala in a swap deal for Romelu Lukaku. I do believe that would be very beneficial for Manchester United. We would take that with a pinch of salt. And I'd love Dybala to come to Manchester United. I think he would succeed at Manchester United. We know Dybala obviously hasn't played in the Premier League as yet, but I do believe in the majority of his 4 years with Juventus, he's done really well. Obviously, since the arrival of Cristiano Ronaldo, and obviously, under Massimiliano Allegri, Paul Dybala, found game time very difficult, because obviously he's found himself service to requirements, since Cristiano Ronaldo's arrival. But in the majority of his 4 years, he's done really well. He's scored 78 goals in 182 appearances in all competitions. He's won 4 Serie A's, Paul Dybala. He's won 3 Coppa Italians in his 4 years in Turin. I do believe he's under contract with Juventus until 2022. I do believe he's on around 120 grand a week. So again, Paul Dybala's obviously going to want a huge pay rise on his salary. And I do believe in Tottenham's team, I do believe Harry Kane and Dele Alli are on more than 120 grand a week. So they're probably, I think, they're receiving more than Paulo Dybala. But obviously, Tottenham can offer Paul Dybala Champions League football. We can't offer him Champions League football, so maybe in that aspect, that could, currently go against us. But if we were, if I'd love to see Dybala come to Manchester United as part of a deal of Lukaku, going to Juventus. Juventus, I think, paid around €40 million for him back in 2015 from Parma as well. But he has done well in the majority of his 4 years with Juventus. Like I said, he's still in the contract with Juventus until 2022. His versatility is good. Dybala, he's got endless potential. I do believe he's also good in the air, and he can score goals, and he's only 25 years of age, and he's Argentinian, but he can play as a forward. He can also play as an attacking midfielder. But it is Manchester United and Tottenham that are in there for him. Like I said, Tottenham have held negotiations with Juventus. I do believe Manchester United have been in talks with Juventus over the sensational swap deal, involving Romelu Lukaku and Paulo Dybala. But yeah, I'd love Dybala, to come in as Romelu Lukaku's replacement. But who should come in, to replace Romelu Lukaku, the football club now? We'll give you the news about Lukaku. So as you all know, he has been left out of the Norway squad as Romelu Lukaku. So obviously, that's going to fuel more speculation. And I was reading a report yesterday, and it did reportedly say, we've set Romelu Lukaku a transfer deadline, and reportedly, we've given him until Thursday, to engineer a move away from Manchester United. So basically, we've imposed a deadline, so maybe Lukaku could be on his way out of the football club this week. Obviously, we've said want around 75 or 80 million pounds for him. Some reports have indicated out saying that want near the 90 million pound mark, but I do believe want at least around 75 or 80 million pounds. So basically, we're looking to recoup the money that we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago. Maybe we even are orchestrating on getting a little bit of a profit. But obviously, it's Inter Milan that are battling out for his services. Obviously, Inter Milan seems to be the team that are making more of the progression than Juventus, because Inter Milan have been in for him for the majority of the summer. Juventus have just recently entered the race now for Romelu Lukaku. But I think our valuation seems to be the stumbling block. Lukaku making his proposed move to Inter Milan and all that, because Inter Milan have been struggling. To me, what we are demanding. Obviously, Inter Milan are under financial fair play restrictions. We do know Inter Milan have been trying to offload a couple of their players, to help them, generate funds, to meet that 75 or 80 million pound valuation. But of course, Inter Milan have struggled to do this. Obviously, I still believe that talks are ongoing, between Inter Milan and Manchester United over the fee, because no fee has yet, come to an agreement. And like I said, the fee seems to be the stumbling block. But talks have been going on for quite some time, as you all currently know. I do believe Inter Milan have obviously had 2 bids turned down. Obviously, they had a £54 million bid turned down the other week. Obviously, that was too insufficient for Manchester United. I do believe they also inquired about getting Romelu Lukaku on a 2-year loan. We're worth around 9 million up front, with then the obligation to buy for the further 54 million at the end of the loan. But again, Manchester United didn't entertain this offer because we're only willing to let him go on a permanent deal. Obviously, Antonio Conte has identified Lukaku as his #1 target. Obviously, when Antonio Conte was the manager of Chelsea a couple of years ago, reflecting back then, he wanted Romelu Lukaku, but obviously he turned down Chelsea and ended up making the move to Manchester United. But I believe anyway we overpaid for Lukaku. We paid £75 million to him. He's our second most expensive signing, but there was actually 15 million add-ons included, so initially raising it to £90 million. Lukaku has still got 3 years left on his contract, and Lukaku does want to play under Antonio Conte's guidance because he probably believes he'll flourish under Antonio Conte's guidance, because don't forget he described Antonio Conte as one of the best managers in the world. But I think there's been talks going on. Inter Milan as director travelled to the UK the other week to obviously hold more talks over that with Manchester United. Obviously, as it reported quite recently, Lukaku left Manchester Airport to obviously go to Belgium to meet up with his agent to discuss a potential move to Inter Milan. I do believe last week, if I'm right, that Lukaku's agent Federico Pastorelli was in Milan because he's held quite a few negotiations with Inter Milan. But Federico Pastorelli says anyway that Inter Milan are desperate to sign Romelu Lukaku. But what we're demanding does seem to be the current stumbling block. Obviously reports indicated that was it over a month or so ago now, saying that the personal terms have been agreed, and it said Lukaku had agreed a contract worth around 180 grand a week. But maybe now Lukaku could end up going to Juventus. If we see Dybala come as part of the deal, and I think Lukaku does want to make the move to Italy. I think he was actually talking about Juventus a while back, and I think, in my opinion, Lukaku, I think it would be more better for Lukaku going to Juventus than it would be for him going to Inter Milan, because probably Juventus would be able to guarantee him more success. Maybe he wouldn't get the success required at Inter Milan. And I think Lukaku said a while back that he was excited about the prospect of linking up with Cristiano Ronaldo in the Juventus team. But either way, anyway, he does want to leave Manchester United and all that. But like I said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer held talks with Romelu Lukaku, didn't he? Remember, he held talks with Romelu Lukaku, pleading to stay for one more season, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said he wanted him to stay for one more season. We do know Lukaku is becoming infuriated anyway, because obviously since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice preference has been Marcus Rashford ahead of Romelu Lukaku. So basically, Lukaku has lost his place in the team, and Lukaku has become infuriated about it. He said, look who we've got now. We've got Martial, you've got Daniel James, you've got Mason Greenwood, you've got Chon and that's upcoming, and you've got Mason Greenwood and that's upcoming. So Lukaku's going to find it hard, to get in that mix. So I think we sell him will be beneficial for Manchester United. He'll also, be beneficial for the player himself. But yeah, the rumours are still, currently going on. But obviously Lukaku has not even made an appearance on pre-season at all. He did travel with the squad to Australia. He also travelled to Australia. He travelled to Singapore and all that, and did he travel to China? If I'm right, did Lukaku? Yeah. So he's travelled with the squad, but he just hasn't obviously made an appearance, because Solskjaer reportedly said that he's allegedly being injured as Lukaku, and he's sustained some kind of ankle problem. This is why he hasn't been currently playing. But obviously with him not playing, and obviously with him now not being part of the Norway squad, it's obviously going to fuel more speculation. That's obviously just an indication sign that Lukaku is on his way out of the football club. But like I said, he's been at Manchester United 2 years, and I think Lukaku was exceptional in his first season, but didn't really replicate this form of course in his second season. But he was absolutely good in his first season, was Lukaku, but didn't replicate that in his second season. But it's like I said, in his 2 years with Manchester United, he scored 42 goals in 96 games in all competitions. He do now still got many strong concerns about him. I'll credit Lukaku, his goal scoring pedigree in the Premier League's fantastic, his ratio, and that's very, very good, and he's Premier League proven. But you do know the concerns I've got about him. He's too slow, doesn't have that pace, hasn't got that potential, he's a big game bottler, he's not really good in the air. So you do now got so many strong concerns about him, and but he's still 26 years of age, and he's still got a hell of a lot of development minimum as Lukaku. But I think him going to Inter Milan or Juventus will be very beneficial for him. I think Juventus, if it were me talking on Lukaku's behalf, I think my preference would be actually Juventus over Inter Milan. But yeah, and also, Inter Milan, been trying to offer us a couple of their players, to get Romelu Lukaku, to try and help them, fund that £75 million valuation. They've tried offering Mario Icardi as part of the deal. They've also tried offering Ivan Perisic as part of the deal. But the rumours, do continue to persist about Romelu Lukaku. But I think, if we sell Pogba and Lukaku, don't get me wrong, I think it will help us with our rebuilding process. I also believe it will help us with our transition. And I think we can generate over £150 million for their current departures But Solskjaer does know how imperative, them two players are. But both players are being relentlessly linked to a move away from the football club. And if we hadn't put such an extortionate amount on both players, I think both players, probably would have left Manchester United by now. But based on the extortionate amounts we put on them, this is seen to be the stumbling block of both players leaving the football club. With Paul Pogba, I still say in this market, this day and age, he's worth in the region of 150 or 160 million pounds, even though he hasn't been a player as we all thought he would be being at Manchester United. In large portions of his, 3 years he's been here, over 3 years now, since he rejoined the club in 2016. He has been very, very inconsistent. He started pre-season well, to be fair to him, as Paul Pogba. We've seen glimpses of his best form, mainly when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager. But I still say he's worth 150 or 160 million pounds. I think Lukaku is not worth 75 or 80 million pounds. So basically, we are demanding a bit much there, and I don't blame Inter Milan. Inter Milan, I think, valued him at around 60 million pounds. I think 60 million pounds is reasonable, but maybe over that mark, we're basically asking her for too much. And I do believe Solskjaer is going to succeed at Manchester United. I do believe he can get us back, being successful. Like I said, he was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. Don't forget. Obviously, he is following Alex Ferguson's philosophy, and he does believe he's following a policy, that proved successful under Alex Ferguson. But like I said, we've been a toxic club for the last 5 or 6 years, and we've been a toxic club because we've obviously been mismanaged. This is the main factor reason why we have been underachieving. It's been disappointing in the last 5 or 6 years, but there's still a hell of a lot of money that's been invested into the football club. Players have come in, and of course, players have gone. Like I said, Solskjaer, I think, is the right man to take Manchester United forward. Don't forget, he's got a bit of experience as a manager. He proved himself in his first 3 months as interim manager at the club, because he exceeded expectation levels and everything went really, really well when he was the interim manager. Obviously, he won a couple of Norwegian titles there with Malta, so he's got a bit of experience as a manager. Not really to the highest level, but like I said, regardless of our manager is, no one's going to ever, follow Alex Ferguson's legacy. We're never going to achieve what we achieved under Alex Ferguson. That's something, of course, we have, got to accept. But I do believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still the right man that can take Manchester United forward. But like I said, the board have got to back him. They've got to get him all the signs that he does want in. But I do believe now we're definitely going to do more transfer activity, which is very, very good news. Looking like the Harry Maguire's coming in. He should be announced, sometime this week. Damasio said, we're in the closing stages of the Harry Maguire deal. Apparently, this is what he did said, Damasio. And obviously, Damasio sometimes quite reliable. He's obviously an Italian journalist. With Bruno Fernandes, like I said, he's told his teammates at Sporting Lisbon that his transfer weight is gathering momentum. This is what he basically said, did Bruno Fernandes. And obviously, I've just given you news about Milinkovic, Savic. But like I said with Lukaku, there's been quite a few players mentioned, who could replace him at the football club. Nicolas Pepe was one of them, but obviously now he's on the verge of joining Arsenal, so I'm very sceptical about him now coming to Manchester United. There's still talks, obviously, going on about Moussa Dembele from Lyon. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's identified him as a possible replacement for Romelu Lukaku. So, being quite a few names mentioned who could replace him, but we do need a replacement anywhere if he does leave the football club. And obviously, I think we also need to sell Darwin and Rojo. We need to get rid of them too, because they've both enjoyed difficult times at Manchester United. Darwin surplus to requirements at the club, like I said, isn't part of the Norway squad, hasn't even played on pre-season yet. Obviously, with Rojo, his Manchester United career has been mainly affected, with the amount of injuries he has sustained. So I do believe we probably need to get rid of Marcus Rojo. But as like I said, guys, these are still lots to currently address in the squad. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribing, as always, and take care, God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.